Overcoming Imposter Syndrome for PhDs. If you've ever thought at any minute now, they're going to figure out that I don't know what I'm doing, you're not broken, you're just a PhD. In this video, you're going to figure out why imposter syndrome hits PhDs so hard and how to stop it from quietly sabotaging your career, your writing, and your confidence. I'm Dr. Steve Tippins. I've spent 35 plus years in academia, coached hundreds of PhD students. I've seen this phenomenon across disciplines, across career stages, and across identities. I'm going to break this down into 5 research-backed shifts that help PhDs stop fighting their thoughts and start moving forward with clarity. Imposter syndrome is not a flaw. It's not pathological. It's situational. It is not a DSM diagnosis. However, it is widely recognized in psychology. It's strongly linked to high evaluation environments, novel or unique roles, and when there's power asymmetry. Think dissertation committees, tenure reviews, things like that. And research has shown it's most common in high achieving environments, not in low performing ones. I like to look at it this way. Feeling like an imposter doesn't mean that you're failing. It means that you're stretching and growing. So why are PhDs kind of like the perfect breeding ground for imposter syndrome? Well, first, a PhD program has what we might call chronic evaluation. Exams, comprehensive exams, defenses. There's really no clear, you got it, you're done signal, many times for years. Then we have expert comparison. There's always somebody who seems smarter or doing more, and it's really easy to fall in the comparing trap. Even though everyone's different, it's a very easy trap to fall into. And then there's attribution error. You've been successful. Oh, it must have been luck or just good timing or something like that. It's not me. And when there is failure or maybe not meeting quite up to expectations, well, that's my personal failure. It's me. It's all my fault. When perhaps it could be structural. I just want to let you know that CEOs, surgeons, elite athletes all report similar experiences. PhDs are not unique here, but perhaps just quieter about it. If imposter syndrome is making you second guess yourself, you don't have to work through this alone. Inside our free Scholar Career Network, you get free guidance from people who've been through the same thing and have come out the other side with fulfilling careers. Plus, direct guidance from me. Just click the link in the description to join for free. So one thing that's helpful is re-anchoring. Look, you did the work. Faculty do not pass you just to be nice. They realize you have done the work. You have been allowed into the club. Accept the membership. You advance because you demonstrate competence, and you demonstrate it over and over again. PhD programs in themselves are selective communities. They're also typically conservative and slow to advance students, especially those who aren't ready. Remember, the fact that you have gotten this far is evidence. It's not opinion. You don't get here just from positive thinking. You get here because you have done the work that's been evaluated and stamped with a seal of approval. So how does imposter syndrome actually cause harm? The damage doesn't come from feeling uncertain. It comes from how those feelings begin to shape your behaviors. Common consequences of these behaviors include not applying for positions or opportunities for which you are qualified, over-preparing, even to the point of exhaustion, delaying work that is already good enough. Many PhDs respond to this with perfectionism. And this can feel like I'm being responsible, but it ultimately slows your work down and can increase burnout. And for those of you earlier in your career, submitting to journals and things like that, you don't even know what perfect is. I've told people in the past to put up a sticker that says good enough is good enough. Research has consistently shown that perfectionism leads to anxiety and ultimately does not improve outcomes over time. I'd like to see you replace perfectionism with a growth orientation. Seemingly, academia rewards perfectionism. However, real expertise is developed through feedback, revision, and error. I'd much rather work with someone who makes mistakes, but then reflects on those mistakes and adjusts accordingly, grows through the process. In my mind, this is much better than someone who avoids risk just to protect an image. Images can tarnish over time or they can grow. As Don Miguel Ruiz puts it, your best changes depending on circumstances. So the goal is not flawlessness. The goal is continual learning. Confidence is a byproduct of action, but not a prerequisite. Confidence rarely comes before action. It usually comes after repeated contribution. Activities that counter imposter syndrome include teaching or tutoring. Maybe you've heard it said you never learn something so well as when you have to teach it. Collaborating on research, learning from other people's strengths, and explaining concepts to others. These activities tend to reinforce the identity, hey, I know what I'm doing. My contributions are valuable. Research on self-efficacy shows mastery experiences matter more than reassurance. Waiting to feel confident often prolongs doubt. Start doing things. So let's look at criticism, evaluation, and academic power dynamics. PhDs are evaluated constantly, both formally and informally. And criticism can be a double-edged sword. It can improve work or undermine confidence. The key distinction is feedback is important. However, remember, it's not a verdict on your self-worth. Learning to tolerate evaluation without self-collapse is a core professional skill. Everyone at your level is being corrected, but not always publicly. So what is the role of mentors and peers and community? Imposter syndrome tends to thrive in isolation. Remember that mind is a terrible thing to use. Talking to others often can reveal things like shared fears, shared struggles, shared uncertainty. Knowing that others are going through similar things can be helpful. Mentors can help by normalizing the process, naming expectations, and providing perspective. Here's what I went through. Here's what others I know have gone through. Here's how they survived it. These can all be very helpful. Even senior scholars will admit many times that they felt much of this as they were beginning their career. Community can turn private shame into contextual understanding. Ultimately, you can look at imposter syndrome and treat it just like a research problem. You've been trained to analyze complex problems. Apply that same rigor here. Observe the pattern, identify contributing factors, adjust your behavior strategically. Graduate school is not a referendum on your intelligence. It can be thought of as a prolonged process of skill accumulation while being evaluated. And if you're still in the program or still in the job, you belong there. If you're navigating imposter syndrome, support matters. The Scholar Career Network exists specifically to support PhDs through moments like this and help them find meaningful careers. You don't have to figure this out alone. Just click the link in the description to join for free.